Okay, welcome back to another month here in Valrico, Florida with former Russian Olympic head coach Vlad. Today was another phenomenal session. We did full body workouts, calisthenics, head to body workouts. If you can't see, I am completely drenched from head to toe. That's why I absolutely love coming here. He always pushes me to be the best version of myself, constantly get into each exercise where I am gassed and can't go any further. At least that's what the voice inside of my head tells me, until coach comes around and pushes me to go even harder. What I love about coach, I said it before and I'll say it again, he understands to be a good boxer, you have to be a well-rounded overall athlete from head to toe, physique, but also having the right mentality to keep going even when everything inside of you says you can't. Today we worked on the hardest thing, I would say, was 50 of the walk into push-ups, twist, and then another push-up, and then walk back. And then we worked on some footwork and arm corresponding measures. So going forward with a 1-2, going backward with a mailman, going left, going right. And you know, stamina and footwork is my top two, and then defense as well. And then later on in class, we got with a partner to work on some combos. We did a freestyle body shot, and then we worked on a specific combo. And then lastly, we ended on the back. Today was a very overall well-rounded class, hitting a little bit of everything, but pushing your body to its extreme. What I really love about my progress so far is I'm getting more and more comfortable with understanding that my body throws punches. I understand what it feels like to throw a punch. And what happens when you understand what it feels like to throw a punch? You're able to utilize less energy, which allows more mental clarity to focus on what you're actually doing or what you want to do, rather than being a fight or flight mode. So to see myself slowly become more confident and understanding where I am, it allows me to focus on better combos, focus on better footwork, focus on more than just trying to protect myself in the ring. And that just comes with constant learning, but learning from the best and also pushing yourself further than you could ever thought possible, which is why I'm here at least once a week. I would love to up it, but right now I'm still at once a week. But you see what just once a week can do. So let's go. I'll see you next week to see what we do and how my progress is coming along. Okay, I just wrapped up practice today, which was my first boxing class in 2 weeks, which means my first ever week missed since starting boxing was last week, because that a few of our boys inside represented the state of Florida for Junior National Olympics. You heard that correctly. What is being taught has turned a non-boxer into a Junior National Olympic candidate in just over a year's worth of progress. That shows you he is breeding overall athletes that are transforming into boxing champions. In a few years, you're going to see a lot of these names come out of this gym for being absolute monsters. You might even see my name, man. We're going great progress so far. However, today we start off with a fantastic gym circle warm-up, going around doing several exercises, and the ones that highlighted to me most was the full extension stretches, where we're fully extending our arm out, fully extending our shoulder out, and really translating to our punch. A lot of times when we punch, we don't fully extend. We fully extend with our arm, but we don't fully extend with our shoulder. So those type of exercises in the circle are what's highlighted to me the most. And then we went right over to shadow boxing, working on footwork, working on stamina, and working on defense. And if you've been following my progress, you know those are my three major lacking factors, which is every time we have a class that is heavily centered on those three, I absolutely love it. And then piggybacking off of everything we worked on today, coach put me in the ring to work defense only with the new girls we have in our class, which was phenomenal because they are able to take a break and be rested while my stamina continuously decreases. So for me, it was phenomenal to see how my body will operate under stress, under being tired, while someone else, even though not as advanced, still has the stamina enough to at least show up and to throw a punch. So that type of practice for me was phenomenal. Even to after going 2 rounds with each of them, all 3 of them coming at me at the same time, my stamina stamina was continuously diminishing and diminishing. However, for whatever reason, there was something inside of me allowed me to continue to push, almost as a flight or flight type of activity, to push even harder to defend myself, and even getting to the point where my hands were quote unquote tied behind me and having to just duck and dodge, which for me, honestly, my head swivel is one of my favorite things within my defense. So it just amplified what I like to do anyway without necessarily having to focus on my hands up, which slows my head movement down. Honestly, there were so many cues I picked up just now from having that experience. I'm so blessed and honored to be able to have that experience, to feel these emotions, to understand body functions that only be possessed by doing certain things. I absolutely love Coach Vlad. I love the experience I'm gaining from the boxing path I'm taking right now. I'm so honored to continuously learn. I will see you next week to see what we do and how much progress I have made. Okay, just wrapped up another awesome week here with Coach Vlad. Today was a cardio intensive class. Pretty much when we started, we did not stop until as I walked out of this gym with the camera and mic in my hand. My shirt is completely drenched. Today we worked on footwork, we worked on shadow boxing, and we worked on tons of stamina, starting with the jump rope and then immediately going in to our stance, working on our forward, our backwards, working on our coordination with foot and arm work, going forwards, opposite, going backwards, the same. Really working on fundamentals, and then from the fundamentals, you can have fun. But you can't have fun if you don't know the fundamentals, because you'll be thinking too hard of the combo you're trying to do because you're not doing it fluently because you don't have the fundamentals, which is what Coach Vlad is fantastic at teaching. He teaches you how to be an overall athlete, not just a boxer. And then later on in class, we went to the puncher bag doing a circuit with 4 exercises, doing them short but extreme burst 8 times, which was absolutely exhausting. Just when you thought you had no energy, you hop on the bag and you really see how much energy you have. But it's direct correlation. Anyone can go in and have 1 or 2 good rounds, but how does 5, 6, 7, 12 rounds look? You know, so being able to push through perseverance when you're tired, I use quotation marks when I say tired, because a lot of times it's really just your mind telling yourself that you're tired, but you have so much more in you, and you will never get to the point of knowing how much is left in you unless you have a coach like Coach Vlad pushing you beyond what you think is possible, which is why I absolutely love it here. I'm going to continuously come and learn from the absolute best. I absolutely love it here. I'll see you next week to see what we do and how my progress is coming along. Okay, just when you thought you learned it all from Coach Vlad and all you have to do is implement more and more reps, he implements even more strategy. Today we worked on shadow boxing, and my favorite part of the shadow boxing today was the ducks. I am a roll type of person in my defense. I love to roll. That is my favorite aspect of my defense. So today we worked on implementing ducks within rolls, and we did a duck forward, 1, 2, roll, roll, duck backwards, 1, 2, roll, roll. And that honestly was a fantastic feeling for me. It was still a little confusing. My body didn't really understand enough for it to be fluent. However, I slow walked it up to a decent pace. And then we worked on other shadow boxing courses. And then we went ahead and went straight to abs, which abs was an absolute killer. Today we got to partner, and my core was on absolute fire. My core is actually pretty much the weakest part of my body, and it's always implemented when I do core, especially after doing a whole workout just previous. However, being in such excruciating pain just means I am exactly where comfort starts. So continuously pushing my boundaries here with Coach Vlad, like always. And then after we worked on some of those shadow boxing techniques we worked on earlier with a partner with our gloves on, which makes it extremely easier to translate once you get into a ring, because you understand what it feels like for a punch to be thrown at you and what you should kind of do, even if it's at a slower pace. You can also see what cues you need to work on from having someone in your face to actually simulate a boxer. So picking up on a lot of cues, Coach Vlad came over several times to nitpick certain aspects that weren't done perfectly. As far as my screw punch to the left, I wasn't using enough of my shoulder to protect my chin. So there was a lot of cues like that that he was able to pass down to me today, that I'm always like a sponge absorbing as much as I can from him, because he always fascinates me how much he understands and loves this sport. And then we finished today's class with a freestyle on the bag. Although my shirt is completely drenched and I felt like we had a very extensive workout, I feel my stamina is getting better because I am not extremely tired. There was parts within the class today where I was extremely tired, but it was more a mountain hilltop, and then I kind of caught my breath back again. But there's been some classes where I walked out and I'm extremely exhausted. Right now, I feel like I can go run a 5K. Will it be fun? No, but I do feel as though I have enough stamina to do that. So to see my stamina increase is a phenomenal feeling. My footwork definitely still needs tons more work. Mainly, it's too spread still. It's too wide. So I'm still working on that. But as I continuously come here and work on new strategies, I can start to feel it and more and pull it tighter and tighter until it gets comfortable, or until it gets to where it needs to get to allow my body to function without me having to think about it. Because if I close my legs too much right now, it takes too much mental capacity to realize that's what I'm doing, and it kills all my other cues. So really, practice. It always boils down to that. And I just want to say, no matter what hobby you're picking up, you see me, I'm only able to come here once a week, and that just wrapped up month 10. So even though I've only come once a week for 10 months, you can see progress being made nonetheless. So do not let time, do not let people's personal opinions, do not let money, do not let anything stop you from doing or going to obtain any goal that you have set inside of you, that you know that you see, and you know that you tell yourself on a daily basis. Go be unapologetically you, even if it's 5 minutes a day, even if it's 2 hours a week. No matter what it is, go be you. I hope you use this as nothing but inspiration to be you. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me today, and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you next month to see how my progress is coming along.